Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and we are here at the Rockingham Speedway, the good old classic racetrack in North Carolina, to qualify for tomorrow's Cheerwine 500km race, a 62-lap event here from this 1-mile oval in Rockingham, North Carolina, tomorrow at noon Eastern. Today we set the starting lineup, and right now it's uncharted qualifying. We're looking to see who's going to get into the show. It's Zachary DeLow is going to be the first guy out there, number 67 for North State Racing. This is a hometown race for that team. Of course, Cheerwine, one of their sponsors on their full-time car, Patrick Smith. So, pretty big race for that team right there. They'd love to get all three of their cars in. Zachary DeLow trying to do so in the number 67. There's Julio Caesar. There's Daniel Voiles. There's your guy, Trey, Christian Russell. And he got the win last weekend. Or no, he didn't. He started on the pole last week in the IndyCar race. I believe he got a top 10 in that event. But he is the only uncharted driver so far this season to not qualify his way into a show. So, and what are you doing on that 62 team in American Motorsports to possibly get him into the show? What are some strategies you're going to ask him to play out in this session?
Just run it on the low line and run as fast as you can. It's been a really frustrating qualifying sessions for this car. And we've been trying to get Jelly Belly, the 62 car, out on the track. And really tough. The competition's been really bad. Really hard to go against. So, you know, Christian's due, and I predict he's going to get it today.
We'll have to see. 24.479 is the fastest time. That is set by Zachary DeLow. There's Nick Smith. There's Angel Olvera. The last two guys are two guys who qualified last week from Texas, Colton Yo and Stephen Thompson. Both of those guys were involved in accidents in last week's race at Texas. Didn't work out too well for those guys, but either way, we'll have to see who gets the time to beat here. Julio Caesar and Zachary DeLow, the top two guys right now. We'll have to see who gets it done here tonight. There's Voiles in the 31. I don't think he's getting a draft with anybody. I think the guys who are going to be going faster guys, you might be getting a slight draft. You know what, though? Julio Caesar's right here. I don't think he's close enough to be getting a draft on these two guys ahead of him. Yet he's still the fastest guy in town. Christian Russell is 5th. Nick Smith is 6th right now. Stephen Thompson and Colton Yo have yet to complete a lap in this session. You might not want somebody ahead of you here in the qualifying session because that might actually slow you down here. 67 of Zach DeLow and the 10 of Julio Caesar, still the top two guys. Daniel Voiles just moved himself into the second position for Velocity Racing. Of course, they got the win last weekend with Andrew Ross at Texas in that wild event. They started coming down the pit lane right near the end. The fuel strategy ended up playing out very interestingly because some guys were able to make it, some guys were not. But the caution, last caution in that race came out at the perfect time for those guys, and number 35, Andrew Ross, was able to stay out and get his first career Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory. And hey, I don't want to jinx it right now, but your guy is right now second, Christian Russell, in the position to possibly make his first race of the season. This would be huge for you guys. Because this car last year's an uncharted car, which was number 36 last year, made it into a lot of the events with all your guys. Colton Yo was in that car. Christian Master was in that car. You probably know the other guys because I forget them.
Ashland Boyd.
Yeah, Ashland Boyd, all those guys.
Well, actually.
They all did a great job in that car last year, and Christian Russell is yet to show that strength, but right now he's got an edge on the field. He's in second. He's the second fastest guy. Now, I will say, tire wear here at Rockingham is highly significant. By the time we get to the end of the first session in tomorrow's race, they're going to be going about 2.5 seconds slower than they will be, or would have been going at the top of the show. So it's going to be a very interesting race with that tire wear tomorrow. Stephen Thompson just moved his way up in the second. You know, he's been doing a great job in these uncharted sessions so far, and I think he got a bit of a draft, just enough on Christian Russell, and it looks like Russell's going to keep it down. That's a tough break for him. He's going to barely miss out here today at Rockingham, but it's just the way it goes. Of course, all these cars are equal, so I don't have any control over it. It's just the spirit of competition, but Christian Russell will get one eventually. So we got 20 races left in the season. So hopefully he gets on to one of these races here soon, because it's just tough to see that. It's the 8th race of the season, and he's not made any of them yet.
It is a tough pill to swallow, but we'll get him next week. We'll get one eventually. Hopefully that 62 car can make the field this season.
Well, it looks like it's going to be Julio Caesar and the 97 of Stephen Thompson advancing on to the show. I don't think we're going to have anybody else get a good time in. Maybe one of these three guys are the only other three guys left out there on the racetrack. The other three guys are on the pit lane. So got about half a minute left in this session. Oh, Christian Russell's trying to get back out there, but I don't know if he's going to have enough time. Depends if they add enough time. It takes about 24-25 seconds to get around this place for one lap. We'll have to see.
Be close.
He's going to start his lap at least. He's going to have to hope for more time on the clock if he's going to have any shot. And he's not going to get it. It'll be Julio Caesar and Stephen Thompson advancing on to tomorrow's Cheerwine 500-kilometer race. 62 laps tomorrow. And we're going to set the starting lineup right now with Julio Caesar, Stephen Thompson, and the other 40 full-time drivers here from the Rockingham Speedway. Let's see who gets it done for the pole here at the Rock. And here we go to set the starting lineup for tomorrow's Cheerwine 500k, a 62-lap race tomorrow. It's one of the shorter races of the season. Of course, this race used to be a 400-mile length race. Of course, shortened to 20%, but those 80 laps took quite a while and just dragged on. So we shortened it to 62 laps last year. That's probably one of the best decisions we've ever made, because last year's race here was hectic between McMillan, Turner, and Patrick Smith. Had a great battle for the win, and McMillan ended up on top. Now, where you qualify means quite a bit here, but it doesn't mean you're going to win the race. It's not at all like Martinsville. There will be passes for the lead on the racetrack during the green flag runs, and this race is one of the races where we see comers and goers very, very frequently. You got a guy who's going to be significantly faster than others, and I mentioned when we were doing uncharted qualifying that tire wear is highly significant here as well. This is probably the most unique race, one of the most unique racetracks we go to on the circuit. And it's always a great race every year. We've been going here since Season 2, one of the traditional races of the Chick-fil-A Cup Series, and it's going to be a good one. With Cheerwine coming on board, the sponsor for the first time ever on this channel. Looking forward to that, even though they're not actually sponsoring us. But I know we're making Davey Johnson happy because he loves Cheerwine. And his Cheerwine driver almost won this race last year, Patrick Smith, in the number 66. But either way, Garrett Sonora's right now the fastest guy in town. He won the pole at... where was it? California? Was it? Well, it was Las Vegas. No, it was a caution-free race he won it at. It was at Las Vegas he won the pole. Winning the pole here would mean quite a bit because he got a great chance of winning. It's not a guarantee, but I think he might have a good shot at possibly winning the race if he were to start on the pole. Right now it's Cody Sill. We haven't talked about Cody Sill hardly at all this season. Now Diego Yepez is at the top of the board. Yepez has been doing a great job. He comes into this race only 1 point behind points leader Mark Davidson, so a huge opportunity for Yepez in this one. There's Dan McMillan on the pit lane, last year's winner here from Rockingham. And a lot of guys coming out onto the racetrack here. With Yepez still the fastest, we're still trying to find him. There he is in the number 92. Looking to start on the pole for tomorrow's 62-lap race.
And this is shaping up to be a great race, and during qualifying here, the track's pretty small, so you have to, as usual, just be careful when merging. You don't want to damage your car, because that's the car that you use when you drive in the actual race.
As long as you get a good time, though, it doesn't matter, because if you start on the pole and you wreck your race car in qualifying, you're still going to start on the pole. That's kind of the rule here. No, it's not like that in real life, but that's just the way we do it here. It would be too complicated to do it otherwise, so... yeah, Garrett Sonora's moved his way to now third, because John Evans Skimnicki, who won 2 weeks ago at Martinsville, is now the fastest guy in town. I don't think you want somebody directly in front of you. How about Matt Dallio and John Arndt? Both of those guys have won races here before. Dallio won this race 2 years ago in the Cup Series, and John Arndt won the truck race here last fall. That is huge for Matt Dallio, because it has been since that race in Season 6, since he's last won a race on Napafin. It's almost been, it'll be 2 years in June since he last won a race on Napafin. But how about Matt Dallio with the fastest time so far here in Cheerwine 500k qualifying?
And wouldn't it be special if Matt Dallio got back to victory lane in that awesome-looking 79? I don't think I've ever mentioned this, but that 79 car, that's got to be the scheme of the year right there. Just nice throwback to Mark Martin, I believe. It's just a beauty.
I don't think I was intending a throwback per se on the car. I just thought it looked pretty cool, and I know I had seen that design elsewhere. It looks like Mark Davidson, our points leader, just took the top position away from him. And Mark Davidson has been stellar these past few races. Actually, the entire season. Did not have the best of runs at Texas, I'll tell you that much. But in Martinsville, he started on the pole, got a great run there. And he comes to this race, the points leader, but by only 1 point ahead of Diego Pez. So we'll have to see what he can do as this session rolls around and the race rolls around tomorrow. But that's looking pretty good there in number 95 for Mark Davidson. It's been his season here in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series.
He's definitely been very consistent lately, and consistency is definitely the key factor when it comes to winning a championship with the new points format. Strict points format, and there's no chase, no elimination, none of that artificial stuff. Just racing all 20-something races, and then whoever's got the most points at the end of the season wins. Just standard championship. And consistency is definitely the most important factor when it comes to winning that.
It definitely is. Of course, if you lead a lap, you get another bonus point. And you lead the most laps, you get another bonus point. So that's another thing you got to think about. When you're starting on the pole position for a race, there's a good chance you will lead a lap. So that 1 point can come into play when we get to the end of the season, and I just don't know. All these points adding up, heading to Homestead, it's going to get really interesting. This is actually going to be, with the new NASCAR schedule coming out last week, this is going to be the final season, with Homestead being the finale. It is rumored that it's going to switch to Darlington in 2020. Which, what do you think about that move? Darlington's a pretty good racetrack, got some great racing there. And with a strict points championship, probably host a pretty good finale.
Oh, definitely would. And while I do like Homestead for this game, and where there's really competitive racing, a lot of passing and action, Darlington is pretty good. And I think that it would definitely host an exciting show, and who knows? Racing we'll see at Homestead, the drivers are going to be on pretty edgy going for that championship.
Have to see.
Go. I don't know.
Of course, last season, the championship was clinched before we even got to Homestead, so we really haven't been able to see what the finale is like under a strict points championship in this series. Of course, a big reason why the championship was clinched before the season was because we had the chase, and there were only 10 drivers in championship contention coming into that finale. Actually, coming into the final 10 races of the season. What am I talking about? And it really did not allow for the rest of the guys to close in. And, when you only have 10 guys in contention there, when they all even out, they spread out on the points quite a bit. When you have 40 guys, they don't spread out as much between each other. So that's why we went to a strict points championship, is to keep the championship closer than what it would be if we had a chase. So that's why we kind of got rid of that system from last year. But we're not going back to the elimination format. It was unfair to a lot of people, in my opinion. Now, while some moments would never have happened if it weren't for that elimination format, it's in the past, and we're going strict points till the end of time with this series, because that's just the way it should be. Matt Dalio actually won a championship under that elimination format, and actually almost won 2 championships under that elimination format, so he liked it, but ever since it got taken away, he hasn't been doing too good in this series. But tomorrow might be a good day for him. It looks like he's going to be starting on the outside pole. Mark Davidson's going to be starting on the pole. I'm going to ask, and I'm going to say with Dalio here, because he's one of those guys, I think he might have the 4th longest losing streak in this series. What are the odds that tomorrow he's going to get the win in this race?
I'd say he's due. I know a lot of drivers are definitely due. Garrett Sonor, Trey Bartow, Matt Dalio, Jesse Turner, he hasn't won. Actually,
Turner
no,
won Bristol last year. It hasn't been too long for Turner. Tristan Allen's a guy you're missing, though. 100 and, what is it now, 55 races? And he's never won in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series in a points race before, so he's one guy you definitely got to watch out for this season, possibly getting a race victory. I'd love to see that. I think we'd all love to see that. He's going to start 14th. Not a bad start, not a bad place to start. For this race. McMillan's going to start 13th. Last year's winner, Jesse Turner, was running very well in this race last year. He's going to be starting 12th, so a lot of veterans starting up front, but it's still that rookie driver of Mark Davidson who's running a lot like a veteran this season. Looking to get his 2nd pole of the season in the number 95.
As you can see on the leaderboard, the times really haven't changed. That's because the tires have been wearing out, and this track eats up tires. It's a lot like Atlanta. So the times are definitely going to fall off. There's been 0 change in any of the faster times. So that's definitely going to play into a factor, and who knows, that could decide the outcome of tomorrow's race.
It definitely could, and like I said, we see comers and goers in this race. Matt Dalio actually won this race being a comer in Season 6. It was him and Colin Driver battling for the race win. Driver was the dominant guy in the race, but on the final pit stop, Dalio just got his car tuned to perfection, and he was flying around this racetrack, and he surpassed that uncharted car of Colin Driver, and he ended up getting what, as of now, was his last Chick-fil-A Cup Series race victory, but he's looking pretty strong here. The Valvoline number 79, I put Valvoline in my minivan, and it runs pretty well, so get some Valvoline oil there. And I own that team, so they're our sponsor, so you know how the deal goes. We like to pretend we're actually being sponsored when we're not making any money at all, but hey, we're having fun. That's what counts, right?
Oh, definitely. Like that's the whole purpose of NR leagues. It's not for some bragging rights, but it's not for money. It's not for anything like that. It's just a couple of NASCAR fans on YouTube just making cars and putting them in a computer simulation and then running them loose. I mean, like, I've been doing this. I've been part of the NR community for the past 2 years now. It's definitely reshaped my life and how I see other NASCAR people on YouTube. It's definitely one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Hey, I'm glad it has been. That's what I'm here for. Make your lives a little bit better. Well, to see if Dalio's life gets a little bit better tomorrow. I mean, I know I'm talking about him a lot here, but he's one of those guys, one of the top 5 guys with the longest losing streak in this series. Christian Masters is another one of those guys. He has probably 60 wins without, or 60 races without a win in this series. It's been a while since he's raced here, but we'll have to see how it all goes down tomorrow. That's how they're going to line up. Mark Davidson's got the pole, but then it's Matt Dalio, Seth Cole, Brad Stover, Julio Caesar, John Arndt right behind them. A couple of rookies there with Lucas Jacobson, Sebastian Cucalon, Ace Garcia, and Jonathan Skimnicki round out the top 10. Then it's Yepez, Turner, McMillan, Allen, Sonor, Canto, Emily Anderson, I should say. Riley Spurley, Alexander Rowe, and Trey Bartow, the top 20. Take a look at the rest of the results right there. And the veterans are starting to pick it up a little bit more in qualifying. And even though we have yet to have a race winner that won a race last year, thinking that tomorrow we might be seeing one of those veterans get the race victory here from Rockingham. It's going to be a good race. It is going to be 62 laps. It's going to be a fast one. It's going to be a fun one, and pit stop's going to come into play. We've got a tie there between Emily Anderson and Riley Spurley. They're going to stay in those respective positions because Emily Anderson has more points. And that might be the only tie. We got Matthew Phillips and Carter Friesen there tie with each other. I think Phillips might have it on Friesen. We'll have to check and see. But other than that, that is how they will line up for tomorrow's Cheerwine 500-kilometer race. Mark Davidson on the pole. Congratulations to him for that. Me and Trey will have the call tomorrow at noon Eastern Time right here on Napa Fan. And coming up at 7 p.m. tonight, it's the Grand Prix of Armory Digital in the Rockstar Pro Series. Going to be a fun one there from the high banks of Armory Digital in Seattle, Washington. Thank you guys very much for watching once again, and I will see you guys later.